I'm gonna say the nicest thing I can about ice type. Uh, what about ice type? Well, I could sum it up with a lot of words. I could just say bad, or I could pick all of these. Now, which is the nicest one? All of these are pretty not great. We're gonna go with crummy. That seems to be the nicest way I can put it without saying it absolutely sucks major donkey dick. It's bad. Ice type is arguably the worst type in the game. I would say that maybe it competes with rock. Bug's not much better either. But yeah, you don't want to be ice type in Pokemon competitive. There are several reasons for this. We're going to go over them as soon as we can. So let's talk about Bulbapedia, stats, and other things. Some merits about ice. Oh, the type that is known as ice. So let's talk about what it's good against. Now, ice type as an offensive move, we'll talk about its good features first, and then we'll go on to its many bad features. So what's good about ice? Well, ice is probably one of the best competitive moves that, like, you want an ice type on your move. Usually hidden power is either hidden power ice, hidden power fire. I don't think many other hidden power. It's usually hidden power ice is probably the most common hidden power because you want an ice type on your move. It's usually a staple of special sets. But ice is so good offensively for many reasons, and we'll go over them. It's good against dragon. It's one of the few things that is good against dragon. And since dragons you need to take down, there's a lot of threats that are dragons in OU. It's good to have an ice type for that. Flying is another one. Flying is a really common type. Same with ground, and same with grass. Notable about grass is one of the usual common, like, physical walls. Not physical walls, but like tan growth, for example, is a physical wall, common physical wall. I'll go over more of the Pokemon that are in it, but basically, this beats a lot of things that normal moves wouldn't hit. And it's only weak against half damage against ice and water. So what does that mean? It hits pretty good types, like, strongly, and one of the few things that can actually touch or dent dragons. And flying, which dragons and flying usually pair together. But key is it doesn't really get destroyed by anything. Like, Steel does not resist it anymore. Or that's Gen 1. Steel doesn't resist it. But, like, there's a lot of... They added more, but I wasn't looking at it. But usually you don't hit an ice type, so that's not a problem. Fire, usually you have a water move with it in most cases, or you have... if you have, like, an ice type, you usually have an access to... If you're a physical type Pokemon, you probably have a ground move of some sort to pair with it. If you're the other way, if you're special, you can get like an electric or something else neutral to hit fire, or maybe even water, because a lot of Pokemon that are ice type have a water move with it. They're usually water and ice. It's, I think, the most prevalent combination for ice, at least. But usually fire Pokemon are not that defensive, so they're not that much of a problem. You don't usually see fire Pokemon as defensive types because Stealth Rock is a thing. And Steel blocks everything. So you're not getting destroyed too much defensively, but you hit a lot of good types offensively. So offensively, Ice, one of the best types in the game in terms of, like, you want that move on your moveset. Hidden Power Ice, Ice Beam, and what's the physical equivalent of Ice Beam? Give me a second. Like, I should know this off the top of my head. Where's the moves? Not Sub-Zero Slammer. Where is it? No, it's Ice Punch. I guess Ice Punch or Icicle Crash is like the big one. But there's a lot of, when I say a lot of good moves, you only need Ice Beam. You only need Ice Beam. That move is so good. Ice Beam is probably easily top, maybe I would argue top 5 competitive move, maybe top 10 if you want to be fair. Like, I'm not counting like legendary only moves, like, you know, I think Sub-Zero Slammer might be one or something like that, or Freeze Sock. That's a specific legendary move. Like, you can't beat that, but I think it's better than Blizzard because the accuracy debuff, and like Ice Beam still hits really hard. I think it's 95? 90, okay. And it still has a potential to freeze you. So Ice Beam is a really good move, and if you can learn Ice Beam on your special set, usually you pick it up. I don't know any other case where I would not pick up Ice Beam unless you've got like all Ice type Pokemon, which unfortunately will happen to me. Alright, so that's pretty much all that's good against Ice type. It can't get frozen, right? and they're immune to hail. Good thing hail is the least common weather type, so that does not usually happen. Hail is seen once in a blue moon. It's not very often you see hail. Yeah, they can't be frozen. Sheer cold. Okay, cool. Look at this. I can't get hit by sheer cold. Oh my god, so good. So good. Alright. That's pretty much where the buck stops. Ice type usually in terms of types they're pretty well rounded. Defensively, they're pretty garbage, but they have good special attack. Their speed is actually pretty slow if I remember correctly, yeah. I don't know what the average is. I wish I could compare this against other types. Let's get rid of the bad synonyms. Yes, we know ice type is not the greatest. So let's talk about why ice type has many a problem. We'll start off with probably the biggest one. If you are ice type, you're weak to two of the most common moves on physical sets, which is fighting and rock. And why is rock bad to be weak against? Well, it's quite simple. Stealth rock. You will get hit by stealth rock and get chunked. And if they aren't stealth rocking you, they're probably punching you in the face. Fire moves are also decently common too. Not as much as fighting or rock, but fire moves are not hard to get. They're really easy to get. You can get it on any Pokemon and get caught off guard. If fucking Gyarados can spit a fire beam, which is like or fire blast at you, and it's a water type Pokemon, there's many Pokemon that can just snap on fire blast or flamethrower. I guess it means that they had some spicy like nachos or something for lunch, or spicy burritos, and they're just spitting out all of the fumes. But yeah, a lot of Pokemon can get fire type moves, surprisingly, and then rock is really common. Rock slide you can learn on basically any Pokemon in the game, and then fighting is really common as well. I think brick break is you can get on any Pokemon as well, besides just the normal other big stab moves. So defensively, it's horrendous. That's not even saying, this is only going over its weaknesses. Oh, let's go over it defensively. It resists one type in the game. One. And that's fucking ice. Like, are you kidding me? It can't pick grass? Like, it wouldn't matter if it was grass, but like, they don't do ice any favors, we'll say. And that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like, oh man, it's just, it doesn't pair well with anything. So if you're ice, you generally speaking are getting weaker by getting paired with, like, so say I am a ground type, and all of a sudden I just tack on ice, you probably just became worse. Welcome to being terrible now. I think it works for Donphin and Mamoswine, but you can compare those guys, but in terms of my example, but if you add on ice to your Pokemon, you probably just became worse, so congratulations. It's not a good type to be. You don't want to be ice. Oh, forgot. Steel! Oh, I forgot. I'm looking at Gen 1. I blocked this out. Blocked this out. I'm like covering it with my hand, but that doesn't show. Steel hits it now too. I forgot. And Steel is more common because now you want to hit fairies. So there's Bullet Punch, Mach Punch. It's just bad. It's just really bad. Especially since a lot of defensive Steel type Pokemon like Flash Cannon will just tear you a new asshole. So it's not good. It's bad. See, look. Ooh, look. Volpedia even says it. It's bad. Like, oh, you can stop freezing. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, see, like, there's a bunch of double types. So, I'll go over the merits of, like, specific Pokemon. But you'll see there's a lot of water-ice Pokemon. Because that's, like, the only thing clever they could do for a really long time. Like Cloyster, Dugong, Lapras. There isn't many ice Pokemon in general that have the type. Most of them are just basic ice. But yeah, it's... I feel so bad because I don't think any of these Pokemon are good defensively at all, which makes sense because they're ice type. So, what does that mean? So if I'm making a Pokemon theme team, one of the only ways I can do ice type efficiently is make like a hail-based team. I don't think I'm actually doing that because I want to handicap myself even more. But it's very hard to get a defensive Pokemon out of ice type. We'll go over some Pokemon that are in Ice OU, and then we'll go over my team. Because I'm still talking about ice and how bad it is. But it is nice in a drink every once in a while. Let me look. I have to go into this real quick and then add Pokemon so I can see what's in OU. Alright, we're going OU. How many ice Pokemon do you think are in OU? Let's gamble. I think there's only one. Kyurem, yeah. I think Ninetales is too. We'll go over why each one is in. There's two Pokemon that are ice type. Alright, let's start off with Kyurem. Uh, this thing is borderline Uber. Look at its fucking stats. Its base stat total is 700. Do I have to say any more, or do I? Is that why it's in there? Yeah, it's really good, really strong. Uh, it's one of the few things I could probably get away with. I'm not putting that thing on my team. It's one of the few things I can get away with a bad type because its stats just are overwhelmingly strong and it hits like a truck. And look how like its worst stat is 90. Like this thing's jacked. Like Pokemon dream of getting 90 as like an average stat. Like look at this. Look Kingdra. Like look at Kingdra's stats. Like right above it. 95 and it's still an OU, but like damn, 170. I think if this thing like somebody put online that this thing can just use like whatever it's got the specific move real quick. Not Blizzard. Where is it? Maybe it doesn't have the specific ice physical move. But somebody said if like it uses like Terravolt or whatever, Fusion Bolt, it just doesn't matter. Like you just you just one shot whatever it is that's coming in, but or Outrage, like you just tear something up. And since ice doesn't get resisted by many things, luckily, you're hitting something hard. So Kyurem is one of your two, and you just easily saw. I could just show you the base stat total, and you'll probably figure out why. Next is Alolan Ninetales. Now, one of the few Pokemon that became better with adding the Ice type is Ninetales. Original Ninetales, I remember, had a niche because it was one of the few things that could cause weather effects with, I think, like Sunny Day version. I don't remember what it's exactly called, but it made Sunny Day the normal Ninetales. Well, this one does the same thing. It has snow warning, so you can create hail. But there is another reason why you get Ninetales. A, it's really fast, and B, it's got really good special defense. It's got pretty good stat base. It's a very good support Pokemon. It's not used to like tear holes up with like offensive moves or anything. What Ninetales' biggest shining move is it has a unique move. I don't know if anything else has it. This move, Aurora Veil. For 5 turns, damage to allies is halved in hail. Very strong. That's both your screens like in one. 5 turns, you put Light Clay on it. And it can hold its own with like a Blizzard or something like that and hit Stab. Like, that's good. It's good. And Moonblast, like, and it blocks fighting moves with the Fairy type. So you're only really weak to like Fire, Rock, the normal things, but it's very good defensively, special defensively wise. And you can set up Aurora Veil, which is a very strong defensive move. It has its niche, we'll say. Other than that, Garbo. Like, what is going on with Ice type in OU? There isn't any, because it's not a great type. You even go down to Borderline, okay? Like, we'll go down here. We'll even go War to prove how bad Ice type is. We'll go further into the realms, into the Shadow Realm, basically. Where is it? I can't see Ice type. I can't see it. Oh, we'll go down. We'll go down even further. Oh, there's Uber. Uber doesn't count. Like UU. Oh, are we gonna get some ice in UU? Oh, Mamoswine, a really strong Pokemon. Yeah, Mamoswine is one of the best ice type Pokemon in the game, which is saying something. Weavile is also really strong too. Both of those guys are the only other ice Pokemon besides the 2 I mentioned earlier that do anything. The other ones just sit there and, I guess, make you like lattes or something like that. Not even lattes. They can't even do that. They're ice type. They would make you something on the rocks. There we go. Boom. Done. That's the most useful feature, probably. Freezing your drink. It's like when it's like in the movie, the X-Men movie, where Iceman like freezes the Coke for Wolverine. The only reason he does that is to show off that he has like powers. That's like all he does in the movie. I think that's the most important thing he does in the movie, in the second one. But there you go. Ice type. I don't want to go on too much about it and ranting on how bad it is. It's really bad. Making a team out of Ice type, you already can see it's probably going to end really tragically, unless you have like a Hail-based team, and even then, it's not the greatest. I don't have either of those 2 guys that are in OU on my team too, so it's going to be really exciting. I will say a bonus fact about Ice type. You're going to be like, oh wow, like what's bonus about it? Like there's surely something I can make up for how bad it is. And I will say that right now, I don't have hot water in my house. So when I take showers, it's like freezing fucking cold. So the Ice type and me get along really well because I'm fucking freezing. whenever I take a shower now. So I have to get that shit fixed, or else I'm just going to be a permanent ice member. And I'm going to be really sad about that, because that's like asking for a loss in real life. So once I get that fixed, we'll be good to go. But for now, we have to deal with how bad our ice type is. So that's my thoughts on ice. Basically, it was a rant on how shitty it is. But hey, it did its best. So let's talk about what I did to try to make it not shitty. I'll go over my team right now. Oh, look, a familiar face. Mammoth Swine, I think I have Weevil? No, I didn't put Weevil, because I think I used Weevil on my Dark type team, and I didn't want to double up. So, Mammoth Swine is he's my Stealth Rocker. Pretty common. He's got Thick Fat just in case somebody uses fire moves on him. And maybe even Ice on my ground type. But he's like my physical kind of, he's got leftovers. I don't know if I agree with the leftovers, but it doesn't really matter. He's a little bulky, and it'll maybe catch people off guard. Maybe I could just get like a citrus berry on him or something like that. That might be smarter. I don't think the leftover is going to really do anything. The citrus berry might save me another turn. Okay, whatever. Ice Shard is just for priority, and you can catch people off guard. Mammoth Swine's really slow, but he hits like a truck. He looks like a truck too. Earthquake, best move in the game. So you have it in your move pool, you got to get it. Stab too. And then Knock Off is, again, probably one of the best moves in the game as well at this point, and it has nice utility to round off with Stealth Rock. Pretty straightforward. We'll go over here first. I'm going to talk about Cloister probably last. So, Reggae Ice, I like the Reggies a lot. This one's bad. All of them are usually bad. I think all of them are, like, NU. They're not, for like legendary in quotation marks, they're not good Pokemon, surprisingly. But this thing's special defense is, like, off the fucking charts. The reason why it's so bad is because it's an ice type. Oh no, it's gonna be really hard to talk about my team without talking about how bad ice type is. But like, look at this. This bar is like beyond green. It's like the essence of green. Like this is like the city of Oz, all in this bar right here. But it has ice body, so if it's hailing, I think I get healed. And I do have a hailer on my team. I forgot to mention that. It's better than clear body. I don't care about my stats being lower. The big thing that Reg Ice does is it disables people, especially fast special sweepers. I can just basically take them out of the game. Ice beams for stab, just something useful. And then rest, sleep talk. It's usually good that if you can having a sleep talker on your team. It's not required, obviously, but I like having one every once in a while. That way, if they do have like a spore or a sleep powder, and I know they do, I can kind of switch in and get a free sleep, or I can activate sleep clause on my own terms. So that way they can't put multiple people to sleep, which is pretty handy. But this guy just stalls. It's basically all he does. It's kind of a bitch move, but I mean, I have to use any advantage I can by using Ice type. And you're like, oh, why don't you use OU? Come on, man. You know me better than that. Next, I have Abyssno. Jesus Christ. When you heard about this guy getting like Luis, his typing's really cool. I will say that. His typing is amazing. And then you look, and you're like, wow. He's grass ice. And then you have the thinking face, and you're like, oh my god. If I get hit by a fire move, I'm instantly dead. And like I said, fire move is not that uncommon as it used to be. It's pretty easy to get fire moves. A lot of Pokemon just like tag on Fire Punch or Flamethrower randomly. And like I said, Hidden Power Fire is pretty common too. Probably one of the top like 4 hidden powers. I'd say like that, Electric, and Ice. Probably the 4 you go with, because water moves you can get anywhere else. But those 3 are probably really common. I think the other one is Hidden Power. I don't think you would get Grass, because Grass is not that good. I don't want to think about it too much, but basically Hidden Powers, you usually have like 3 different Hidden Powers. And Hidden Power Fire or Flamethrower is pretty common, so you're dead and getting sent back to the Shadow Realm. But to make Abyssno work and catch people off guard is usually you see him as a physical sweeper. His attack and special attack are the same, or close enough. Yeah, they're the same. But most of the time, I think usually you see him as a physical attacker with like Wood Hammer and Avalanche. I'm not doing that. I'm doing Blizzard to get the 100% in the hail. Here's my Hidden Power Fire. Giga Drain for more sustain. I could have gone for I think Giga Drain's the best move I can get. I could have gone for like Grass Knot, but I think it's better to go Giga Drain or Energy Ball. I think it's better to do Giga Drain. Although with Specs, it's probably better to do Energy Ball because I'm just trying to like one-shot something. Yeah, but I am Specs, so I'll catch somebody off guard. Like they're like, "Oh my god, I can take this Wood Hammer or whatever," and hopefully, what switches in. Usually, what switches into this guy is like a Tan Growth or what's another one? The Grass Steel thing. I can't think of its name off the top of my head. That thing usually switches into this, and I can catch it off with Hidden Power Fire. It's mainly what it is for. So yeah, I can go over why I have each one of these moves. It stops steel. This also stops steel, but like Skarmory steel. You have to specify which steel you're talking about. Because Focus Blast isn't good against all steels or, excuse me, Jesus. Or like all Pokemon like Dark or something like that. Sometimes you just want Hidden Power Fire. Because Hidden Power Fire sometimes hits things better than Focus Blast, and you get reliability out of it too. So if you need like a finisher hit or something like that. There you go. I have... God. This Rotom is... I don't think it's the worst. I think Rotom Fan, the flying one, is worse. Because like this one at least gets Blizzard. I think the other one gets... Maybe they changed it to Hurricane. I can't remember. Basically, any Rotom but Rotom Wash is not that great anyway. But this one's pretty bad. Plus, it doesn't even look that cool. I don't think this one looks that cool. It reminds me of a Kirby, like when you got Ice and Electric in Crystal Shards. That's what it reminds me of the most. He's actually my... He's like bulky, and since he has Levitate, he can actually take ground moves. I needed somebody who could take ground moves on my team, and I didn't want to have a Flyer because Flyers are pretty weak, and Stealth Rock would have ate him alive. So what I did is made it Rotom instead. Electric Ice, you're like, wow, this defensive type is garbage, and you're correct. It is. I don't resist like anything, but I resist ground, and that's kind of all I need. And I also just have him Disabler and then just free switches. He's actually decently bulky too. I have HP in him and some special defense, so he's kind of like a mini special wall, if you will. Nothing too crazy. And yeah, he just has like normal common moves. I put Shadow Ball on here because I don't think I have any other like ghosts. It's a strong stab, and I didn't want to use Signal Beam. Well, and he has Toxic too. So, yippee for me. I could put Dark Pulse on instead. Maybe I should put Dark Pulse on. I'm trying to think of why would I want Dark Pulse over Shadow Ball. I think Shadow Ball hits things more neutral, but these other two moves hit neutral anyway. What would Dark Pulse hit? Oh no, I want Shadow Ball because it hits Tapus a little better because they're fairy. That's I think why. I don't want a Tapu to switch in on me. Okay, that's probably why. It's gonna be my logic behind it anyway. Next we have Frostlass. Usually I see him, or her, I guess, since it's always female. I usually see this thing as like top of the list in terms of like non-shitty ice types. People really like this thing. It's very gimmicky, and usually it's the lead. You can do like Bright Powder stuff or Snow Warning. I have a Cursed Body set, so if it hits me, hopefully I cancel out like a move, which would be really nice as a dying like blow. But this thing is like my common strat of what I do is I get really fast and I have a Scarf and I switcheroo anything that I can at the beginning and try to fuck it over like a tank. Usually people don't expect that, but if it's a lead, they will. So I gotta be careful if like they switch into Mega or something like that. Oddly enough, I have it as more of a physical-based thing. There's a reason why. Because I only have one physical guy besides Mamoswine. Or I only have one physical thing besides Mamoswine, so I have to make it Frostlass. And its attack is bolstered. Its attack and special attack are actually the same. Most people don't realize that. I would not have without looking it up. They're both 80. Which is actually not that good, but... Basically, I can get Ice Punch and Crunch, and then I have Shadow Ball for Stab, because it doesn't have a good physical stab move. So, I just lowered its defense, because it would die anyway in one defensive move. Which is probably stupid, because it has Cursed Body. But the only other option is, I think, Snow Cloak. Which I don't want to put on. I don't think it's as good. I know I have, like, Hail, but It's too gimmicky, in my opinion, as I say about Cursed Body. So lastly, why I wanted to save Cloister for last is because it's probably the most unique set on here. Most people, when they see Cloister, are like, oh fuck, it's going to Shell Smash. Because that's what it's basically become common, and like it originated like Shell Smashing. That's like its thing. This one doesn't Shell Smash. What it does is it's a physical wall, because Cloister's defense is almost like the Reggie. Look at these guys; they could be brothers. Yeah. So its defense is really insane. But I also have Avalanche, so if something hits me physically, I bounce back. I have Toxic Spikes, and then normal spikes. So if this thing gets set up, that's very good. And it can also rapid spin, which having a rapid spinner on an ice team is pretty critical. But Cloister's, unfortunately, Cloister's good merits fall very short because, like I said, or defensive ice type Pokemon are garbage. Special are not that bad because you only usually have to deal with fire moves that are special. You don't have to usually deal with like fighting or rock. Usually it's like those are the physical types. If you're trying to like wall off physical users, you're probably going to run into a close combat or Stone Edge, and that would still probably one-shot me even though I'm like this bulked up in defense. That's how bad ice type is. And water's not doing me any favors either. So I have this one is like utility, and then it's got Avalanche just so I'm not taunt bait. But yeah, that's essentially it. I could put like Razor Cell on there instead, but it's not that bad. Maybe I should put that on there. I think Avalanche I want it on there for stab, and I get like I get damage back on a thing. I don't know. I get more damage out of it, I think, rather than lowering defense. And did you know Cloister's attack is higher than its special attack? That's pretty obvious. I mean, look at it. It's like got some spikes. It looks like it would hurt if you picked it up. So that's my ice type team. I'm probably not going to win many games with it, but hopefully I can buy a win early enough and I don't get my ass kicked. My strategy is, if I'm not leading like Frostlass, I'll probably be leading Mammorswine or Cloister or Abyssno. Usually don't start with these two because unless I'm versing like Greninja or something like that, I don't need special wall. But yeah, that's my goal, at least in life. Beyond life, maybe. So we'll see if we can grab some wins. I don't predict that we will, but you never know. We're going into OU, baby.